go to MGH ED, as they have perinatal psychiatry as well as an inpatient psychiatric unit. Lindsay also deciding about McLean. This writer advised that they keep us posted and sign a ROI, release of information, so that we can communicate with treatment providers at higher level of care. Lindsay verbalized understanding and agreement.
So on this phone call that you had with them on 12/15, what prompted the recommendation that they go to the emergency department?
Again, they had described it as the worst day and was having persistent intrusive thoughts of suicide. And they were at the point where they were ready to get assessed for a higher level of care.
And was this different than some of the other communications that you've had with, or that you had with Lindsay Clancy over the course of the weeks?
I would say so.
Okay. And so you talked to them about the process of going to the emergency department and the potential for going to McLean for inpatient?
I recall advising them that if they were to go to their nearest ER, which would either be BI Plymouth or South Shore Health, the process would be that they would get evaluated, but if they were determined to need to go to a higher level of care or an inpatient psych, those facilities did not have inpatient psych units. So they may be sitting there waiting for a bed at any first opening in the state, which could be, up in Amesbury or Newburyport. But that if they were to go somewhere like MGH has a unit called Blake 11, which is a psychiatry unit, and oftentimes they prioritize admissions from their own emergency department. MGH and McLean are also combined under the umbrella of what's now MGB. So sometimes if somebody presents to MGH ED and there's no beds at Blake 11, they might reach out to McLean and try to get them in to McLean.
So you communicated all of this information to them to kind of give them options on what the best course might be to get inpatient.
Yes, I summarized it in my note, but that's my recollection of the phone call.
Okay. And you're aware that that Ms. Clancy had been employed at Mass General as a labor and delivery nurse?
I was.
So they were familiar with that facility.
So I did ask, would you be comfortable with that? And they were.
And so, to your knowledge, after this conversation, did they go to the Mass General Emergency Department on December 15th?
They did.
And so then you were able to communicate with Lindsay via my chart that next day on December 16th, correct?
She reached out to me on December 16th via my chart, yes.
And she indicated to you on December 16th at 12:50 that she, after visiting the ER yesterday, I opted to remain outpatient and pursue the partial program at Women and Infants. And Women and Infants, that had been the program that you had previously recommended in Rhode Island, correct?
Correct.
She indicates, I'm waiting on a call back for them to schedule. In the meantime, I want to know how to proceed with my meds. Do you still recommend the 2 milligrams of Valium and 200 of Seroquel nightly? Again, it's making me sleep well, but still not improving my mood, so I will need a refill on those meds. Please let me know. So in this particular message, she indicates to you that she was waiting to schedule with Women and Infants, correct?
Correct.
Were you aware that prior to that Letitia Dukes had already initiated the referral process for Women and Infants?
Yes.
And so on this particular message, she's kind of updating you, but also asking you if she should stay on the same track for her medication.
Yes.
And what was your response? So December 16th at 1:14.
I said, hi, Lindsay. I know Letitia may have called you yesterday about information about Women and Infants, so I hope you were able to connect with her. Target dose for Seroquel treating depression is 300 milligrams, so we can increase it to 300 milligrams. If you are willing, yes, continue the Valium. Let me know what you think.
And why at this point did you recommend increasing now to the 300 after having recommended staying at 200 for the Seroquel?
The FDA recommended dose for treating depression, bipolar depression, with Seroquel is 300 milligrams.
So on December 16th, you continue to have messages with, my chart messages with Lindsay Clancy, correct?
Correct.
In any of, or do you know that she went to see her previous psychiatrist on that day, December 16th?
Yes.
And so in her messages later in the day at approximately 2:11 p.m., she indicates, I spoke with my original psychiatrist after my ER visit, and she recommended adding 25 milligrams of Lamictal to stabilize my mood. Is that something you would agree with? Had you ever talked with her about Lamictal before?
No.
Is it a drug that you kind of commonly recommend for people?
I do.
And was it something that you thought could be a good fit for this patient?
Yes.
And so in your response to her at 2:26 p.m., do you further talk about using it as a mood stabilizer?
Yes. I state absolutely lamotrigine works well for mood stabilization and depression. I talked to her about the side effects of it.
I'm fair to say those side effects are like rash and skin changes, fever.
Can we find out what the witness feels the side effects are rather than counsel?
Well, why don't we let the question be, what was she told? All right? I think that's the proper question. So why don't you ask what was told or what was said or messaged to the defendant?
Can you tell us what you messaged her the side effects were?
So I recommended it needs to be a slow titration, meaning titration, increasing the dose due to risk of SJS, which means Stevens-Johnson syndrome, which can be a very serious rash that somebody can get. There's a higher risk of it if somebody takes Lamictal, which is why the FDA recommends such a slow titration, 25 milligrams for 2 weeks, 50 milligrams for 2 weeks, 100 milligrams. You can't really go quick with it. But I also specified it can cause a benign rash as a side effect. So any skin changes you notice, you want to be sure are not accompanied by things like fever, malaise, pharyngitis, swollen lymph nodes. Also watch for a rash that is purpuric or tender. Benign rash would be spotty, non-confluent, non-tender, and no systemic features like fever. Otherwise, I find this medication to be quite well tolerated. Take with food to minimize any risk of GI, such as nausea. I will send this to your I can send this to your pharmacy along with the dose change in Seroquel. Any luck with hearing back from women and infants?
So the Lamictal, am I saying that correctly?
Lamictal.
Is that something that you would add to the Seroquel?